Hare Krishna, welcome to this episode of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Today we will be continuing our reading of the third chapter of the Madhya Leela of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So we'll start from 60, but just for context, I'll just go through 59 and we will go onwards from that. So the topic of today's subject is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's and Nityananda Prabhu's lunch and Kirtan at Advaita Ācārya's home. So we will see all the pastimes that were enacted there by the two lords, Sri Sri Gaurnitai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 3.59 Arati Koriya Krishne Korala Shayan Acharya Asi Prabhure Tabe Koila Nivedan. So we have read how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was cheated when he wanted to go to Vrindavan and he was brought to Bengal, and finally he was taken to Advaita Prabhu's house where he was supposed to have a small lunch, but it became a huge, massive arrangement. So Arati was performed, Bhoga Arati, and then this verse. So Arati was performed and then Kirtan was done, and then the Prasadam time, Prasad Seva time. After Arati was performed for the deities in the temple, Lord Krishna was made to lie down to rest. Advaita Ācārya then came out to submit something to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Grihera bhitare Prabhu koruna gaman dui bhai aila tobe korite bhojan. Sri Advaita Prabhu said, My dear lords, kindly enter this room. The two brothers Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu then came forward to take the prasadam. Mukunda Haridasa dui Prabhu bolaila Joda hate dui jana kohite lagila. When Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu went to accept prasadam, they both called Mukunda and Haridas to come with them. However, Mukunda and Haridas, both with folded hands, spoke as follows. Mukunda kohe moro kichu kritya nahi sare pache mui prasada pamu tumi jaha ghare. When Mukunda was called for, he submitted, "My dear sir, I have something to do that is not yet finished. Later I shall accept the prasadam, so you two Prabhus should now please enter the room." हरिदास कोहे मुई पापिष्ठ अधम बाहिरे एक मुष्टि पाछे कोरिमु भोजन. Haridas Thakur said, "I am the most sinful and lowest among men. Later I shall eat one palmful of prasadam while waiting outside." Purport: although the Hindus and Muslims lived together in a very friendly manner, still there were distinctions between them. The Muslims were considered yavanas or low-born, and whenever a Muslim was invited, he would be fed outside of the house. Although personally called by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu to take prasadam with them, still out of great humility, Haridas Thakur submitted, "I shall take the prasadam outside of the house." Although Haridas Thakur was an exalted Vaishnava accepted by Advaita Ācārya, Nityananda Prabhu and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, nonetheless, in order not to disturb social tranquility, he humbly kept himself in the position of a Muslim outside the jurisdiction of the Hindu community. Therefore, he proposed to take prasadam outside the house. Although he was in an exalted position and equal to other great Vaishnavas, he considered himself a papishtha, a most sinful man, and adhama, the lowest among men. Although a Vaishnava may be very advanced spiritually, he keeps himself externally humble and submissive. So you can see, how the situation was at that time and how Haridas Thakur, the lords themselves, who are Chaitanya, Nityananda and Advaita, they are Vishnu Tattva, all three of them. And they called him in, but he was so humble that he considered himself a yavana and wanted to stay outside and not disturb the social tranquility. He did not want Advaita Ācārya to get any bad name in society. Because Advaita Ācārya is from Brahmin family, apparently, according to the social custom at that time. And Haridas Thakur did not want any complaint to come to him. Hey, why did you invite this Muslim man and all this? So he was very humble and kept himself outside. So this is one of the characteristics of a devotee. So Madhya 23-26. Sarvottam apana ke hina kori mane. Although a pure devotee's standard is above all, he still considers himself to be in the lowest stage of life. There's a Bhagavatam verse. So you see here, I wanted to show something. Come on. Okay. 4:21:12. सर्वत्रास्खलितादेशः सप्तद्वीपैकदण्डधृक् अन्यत्र ब्राह्मणकुलाद् अन्यत्राच्युतगोत्रतः. Maharaj Prithu was an unrivaled king and possessed the scepter for ruling all the 7 islands on the surface of the globe. No one could disobey his irrevocable orders but the saintly persons, the Brahmanas, and the descendants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Vaishnavas. So basically, the point here is, although they are more exalted than kings, they are very humble. But you see, even Maharaj Prithu, who had an undisputed kingdom over the entire Bhumandala, he did not, nobody could disobey his irrevocable orders. But the saintly persons, the Brahmanas and the Vaishnavas, because there can be some saintly persons who are not exactly Vaishnavas, in the strictest sense of the term, Sadhu or saintly person is a Vaishnava. But others who are transcendentalists, who are, Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavaniti. So those who are worshippers of Bhagavan feature of the Absolute Truth, the complete feature, they are called Vaishnavas. And Paramatma features, they are called yogis, and then Brahman feature are called Jnanis, the worshippers of Brahman feature. So in this way, there are all these three are transcendentalists, but so they can be considered as saintly persons. So anybody who is a saintly person, Brahmana and Vaishnavas, they were not under the jurisdiction of the orders of Maharaj Prithu. The means Prithu Maharaj did not order especially Achyuta Gotrataha. And the Brahmana community, the Vaishnavas and the saintly persons, he did not order them. He took orders from them. He took guidance from them, advice from them. So in this way, that's the position of Vaishnavas. And a civilization which understands this is the topmost civilization. Not that where money is worshipped and those who have money are considered the greatest. It's not like that. In fact, I wanted to more exalted than royalty. Prabhupada mentions that, no. I can't spend my time on this. Okay, there's another. There's another verse. Okay, here 22:156-157. बाह्य अंतर इहार द्वैत साधन बाह्य साधक देह करे श्रवण कीर्तन मने निज सिद्ध देह करे आभावन रात्रि दिने करे व्रजे कृष्ण रसेवन. One executes this raganuga bhakti in two ways, external and internal. When self-realized, the advanced devotee externally remains like a neophyte and executes all the shastric injunctions, especially those concerning hearing and chanting. But within his mind, in his original purified self-realized position, he serves Krishna in Vrindavan in his particular way. He serves Krishna 24 hours a day, all day and night. So externally and internally, externally he still acts as if he's a neophyte, that he's below, he is within the rules, not only of devotional service but also of society, like Haridasa Thakura in this example. Although Haridasa Thakur has nothing to do with this kind of materialistic society, but still he used it to keep himself humble and did not want to agitate the situation. And he also never went into the Jagannath temple because other than Hindus, others were not allowed, because there were at that time there were already a lot of invasions by the Mughals, by the Muslims from the West, already happened by then. This is 15th century, you see. The invasions from the Mughals happened already in the 11th century, started from there. So there was a ban on Muslims to enter the Jagannath temple, and it is still current. So anyway, not only Muslims, any non-Hindu are still not allowed. But again, the way it is judged is different. anybody who's born Hindu, he is considered eligible to enter. And sometimes even maybe Muslims enter. Nobody knows because they look Indian. But foreign devotees, foreign devotees, even though they are devotees, they're not allowed to enter into the Jagannath temple. Okay, so in the comment section we have 421.37. Yeah, more powerful. I was thinking more exalted. So yeah, 421.37. मा जातु तेज प्रभवेन्महर्षिभिः तितिक्षया तपसा विद्यया च देदीप्यमाने जितदेवतानां कुले स्वयं राजकुलाद्विजानाम्. देदीप्यमाने अजितदेवतानां कुले स्वयं राजकुलाद्विजानाम्. The Brahmanas and Vaishnavas are personally glorified by their characteristic powers of tolerance, penance, knowledge, and education. By dint of all these spiritual assets, Vaishnavas are more powerful than royalty. It is therefore advised that the princely order not exhibit its material prowess before these two communities and should avoid offending them. And what was the verse that we just saw? Prithu Maharaj Achyuta Gotrataha, or 421.12. So it's in the same chapter actually. So, yeah, the comment section. Prabhupada was angry because his foreign disciples were not allowed in Jagannath temple. Yeah, so this was also the case. Prabhupada was not happy that they were not allowed in the Jagannath temple. So, but anyway, Haridasa Thakur did not want to disturb the situation and he just followed. Sadhur Vyavahar. This is a bit different, but Dharma Sthapana Hetu Sadhur Vyavahar. Yes, 17.185, right? Yeah. Puri Gosai Je Acharan Shay Dharma Sar. A devotee's behavior establishes the true purpose of religious principles. The behavior of Madhavendra Puri Goswami is the essence of such religious principles. You see, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, the Vedas, Puranas, and great learned sages are not always in agreement with one another. Consequently, there are different religious principles. But in order to harmonize everything, the criterion for real religious principle is the behavior of the sadhu. Dharma sthapana hetu sadhur vyavahar. A devotee's behavior establishes the true purpose of religious principles. The behavior of Madhavendra Puri Goswami is the essence of such religious principles. So you see, this is how a sadhu is. Actually, the purport is very, very enlightening. He talks about unauthorized Mahajans, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and what is not religious principles. All the different kinds of unauthorized Mahajans. People consider different people as Mahajans according to what values they hold dear. For example, a cricketer would consider Sachin Tendulkar a Mahajan, Virat Kohli a Mahajan, something like this. Or a businessman may consider Warren Buffett as a Mahajan. So in this way, different people, they have different ideas of who is a great person in society. But all these are unauthorized Mahajans because they are not authorized by Krishna. Those who So already Bhagavatam says the 12 personalities, but also anybody who follows the same conclusions and is a pure devotee also comes under the Mahajans category, Mahatma. Mahatmanas tu mam partha daivim prakritimashritah bhajanti ananya manaso gyatva bhutadim avyayam. So he has to be always engaged in Krishna's service. According to Krishna, he is Mahajan, Mahatma. So Sadhur Vyavahar and Maryada Rakshan. Yeah. Bhakta Swabhava Maryada Rakshan Maryada Palan Hoy Sadhur Bhushan. My dear Sanatan, although you are the deliverer of the entire universe and although even the demigods and great saints are purified by touching you, it is the characteristic of a devotee to observe and protect the Vaishnava etiquette. Maintenance of the Vaishnava etiquette is the ornament of a devotee. So, Sanatana Goswami was very humble, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying that, "O Sanatana Goswami, you can deliver the entire universe, and even the demigods and great saints are purified by touching you." So Sanatana Goswami's position is not ordinary. Even the demigods and great saintly people, they will get purified if they touch him. But it is the characteristic of a devotee to observe and protect the Vaishnava etiquette. Maintenance of the Vaishnava etiquette is the ornament of a devotee. And in etiquette, that behavior is based on the qualities that he has. Because behavior is an external expression of the qualities one has. Right? One cannot have one set of qualities and behave like another, especially so if one has lower qualities, he cannot exhibit a higher behavior. Sometimes the people of higher qualities may exhibit lower behavior for different reasons. Like Haridasa Thakura, you see, he's a high, of course, he's the highest Namacharya. Who in this world? I mean, he's Brahma himself, and he's Namacharya now. 192 rounds of chanting every day he was doing. But he behaved as if he was an ordinary Yavana. So you see, sometimes they may adopt, and even the point that a Paramahamsa devotee, a great first class devotee, when he comes to this world to preach, he adopts the role of a Parivrajaka Ācārya. That's why we say Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Ācārya. So although he is Paramahamsa stage, actually there are 4 stages of sannyas: Kutichaka, Bahudaka, Parivrajaka Ācārya, Paramahamsa. So in sannyasi also there is gradation, sannyas ashram. So in the beginning there are Kutichaka. So he will have a bhajan kutir just outside his village or town, and he sits down and does his devotional service there. And people who know him from the town, because anyway they knew him before he left for renounced order of life, so they may come to visit him. Oh, he has become a sadhu. They may give something, some rice or vegetables or whatever for him for maintenance, and in that way he conducts himself. But as he advances more, then he would want to move out of the vicinity of his town, because he wants to surrender more to Krishna. He does not want to depend on the people whom he knows already from his previous ashrama. So as his faith in Krishna increases, he goes and becomes Bahudaka or Madhukari, where he does not depend on his known people, but he just goes door to door and begs alms, and in that way he maintains himself like a honeybee. Madhukari means like a honeybee, Bahudaka. His maintenance comes from many people, not from one small set of people whom he knows. So his dependence, his sense of dependence, the security, material security, that is reduced. So he's depending purely on whoever Krishna will let him knock the doors on. So in that way he conducts himself, and eventually, and of course, Sannyas ashram means not about worrying about how one can eat, whether I should eat in the kutir or in the taking from many people. This is how his sustenance is done. But the rest of the time, he spends in study, deep study of scriptures, and by his sadhana, he becomes very strict and all of that. So then, after Bahudaka, he becomes Parivrajaka Ācārya. He now becomes even more confident in Krishna's protection and out of his advancement, and now he becomes a guru. He preaches widely and makes disciples. And then finally, he accepts the role of a Babaji or Paramahamsa, where he retires from even preaching work, handing over the preaching to his senior disciples, and he goes on to take Babaji Vesh, where he shuts himself up completely to meditate on Krishna without any other engagement. It's not that, so this is the gradation of sannyas, but sometimes, although a pure devotee may be in the Paramahamsa stage, he may come down to Parivrajaka Ācārya stage just to show mercy to the fallen people. Today morning we were having this lecture by His Grace Sundar Gopal Prabhu, and he showed a beautiful verse. You see, 7.10.3 of Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhritya lakshana jignasur bhaktam kameshvachodayat bhavan samsara bijeshu hridaya granthishu prabho. Oh my worshipable Lord. So Prahlad Maharaj is saying to Narsimadev, oh my worshipable Lord, because the seed of lusty desires, which is the root cause of material existence, is within the core of everyone's heart, you have sent me to this material world to exhibit the symptoms of a pure devotee. See, people in this world all have lusty desires in their hearts. They want to enjoy this material world. That's within the core of everyone's heart. So, there is no perfect example of a devotee. Everybody will fall short in some or the other way. So, to set the real standard of what a devotee is, Krishna sends his pure devotees. And Prahlad Maharaj says, you have sent me to this material world to exhibit the symptoms of a pure devotee. So there's a nice quote here in the comments from Madhya CC 24.205 purport. So it's the same point. Krishna kripadi hetu hoite sabara udoy Krishna guna krishta haya tahare bhajoy. Everyone is eligible to receive Krishna's mercy, including Vyasadeva, four Kumaras, Shukadeva Goswami, low-born creatures, trees, plants, and beasts. By Krishna's mercy, they are elevated and engaged in his service. So, here in the purport, devotional service is so enchanting that even the first-class devotees, Uttama Adhikaris, also come down to the second platform to preach and render service to the Lord for the benefit of the whole world. So, this is how, so especially when they're empowered to do so, Krishna Shakti Vina Nahe Tar Pravartana. Without being empowered by Krishna, one cannot actually preach. So you see, yeah. Kali Kaler Dharma Krishna Nama Sankirtana. Krishna Shakti Vina Nahe Tar Pravartana. The fundamental religious system in the age of Kali is the chanting of the holy name of Krishna. Unless empowered by Krishna, one cannot propagate the Sankirtan movement. So see, this is the position of a devotee who preaches Krishna consciousness by showing a perfect example. He is called Ācārya. He teaches by his Āchāra. So going back, yeah, sadhu, the behavior of vyavahar, sadhur vyavahar is this. He's very rich in these qualities. You know, sadhu is very rich in these qualities. Titikshavaha karunikah suhridah sarvadehinam ajata shatravah shantah sadhavah sadhu bhushanah. See, the symptoms of a sadhu are that he is tolerant, merciful, and friendly to all living entities. He has no enemies, he is peaceful, he abides by the scriptures, and all his characteristics are sublime. These are the symptoms of a sadhu. And you see, the Sanskrit that is used here, sadhu bhushana, you see, adorned with sublime characteristics. Sadhu bhushana. So the pure devotee sometimes comes down to exhibit these symptoms so that we can be inspired and work towards that. So not only Prahlad Maharaj, but even like for example Prabhupada or any of the Acharyas, all very exalted qualities they have shown. So Krishna sends like that. So Haridas Thakur also is showing because Yadyad Acharati Shreshthas Tattad Evetaro Jana Sayat Pramanam Kurute Lokastadanvartate. Whatever action a great man performs, common men follow. And whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. See? So, going back all the way. Yeah. So this is how Haridas Thakur is showing Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sada Hari. Humbler than the grass, tolerant, more tolerant than the tree, always giving respect to others, never expecting any respect. And in fact, not just not expecting respect, but trying to actually hide away from any respect that may come. So then Kirtaniya Sadahari. Then Kirtaniya Sadahari. We, tolerance, for example, these qualities are mentioned as how tolerant the devotees are is mentioned in the case of here Parikshit Maharaj. तिरस्कृता विप्रलब्धाः शप्ताः क्षिप्ताः हता अपि नास्य तत्प्रतिकुर्वन्ति तद्भक्ताः प्रभवोऽपि हि. Prabhavopi hi means he actually can. So let's see the translation. The devotees of the Lord are so forbearing that even though they are defamed, cheated, cursed, disturbed, neglected, or even killed, they are never inclined to avenge themselves. One part is missing. You see, in the word to word, there is prabhavopihi. Although they are powerful enough to do so, to counter, to avenge themselves, they don't do it. Parishit Maharaj was cursed to die within 7 days. He could have easily counteracted that curse or counter cursed the boy as well who cursed him. Because he was saved even when he was in the womb of his mother. So Lord Vishnu, without even him asking, he was saved. Of course, his mother asked. But without him asking, the arrangement was made for his protection, even when he was in the womb of his mother. What to speak of when he became a king and very just ruler and nothing, no fault of his, then why? But still, he did not retaliate. And this is also evident in this particular verse of Rishabdev example. There are actually other examples also. I'll just show this one. Rishabdev, when he instructed his 100 sons and then he became an avadhuta. At that time, Rishabdev began to tour through cities, villages, mines, countrysides, valleys, gardens, military camps, cow pens, the homes of cowherd men, transient hotels, hills, forests, and hermitages. Wherever he traveled, all bad elements surrounded him, just as flies surround the body of an elephant coming from a forest. He was always being threatened, beaten, urinated upon, and spat upon. Sometimes people threw stones, stool, and dust at him, and sometimes people passed foul air before him. Thus, people called him many bad names and gave him a great deal of trouble. But he did not care about this, for he understood that the body is simply meant for such an end. He was situated on the spiritual platform, and being in his spiritual glory, he did not care for all these material insults. In other words, he completely understood that matter and spirit are separate, and he had no bodily conception. Thus, without being angry at anyone, he walked through the whole world alone. It sounds very um, full of melancholy, but actually, he was completely happy, so happy that he wasn't even worried about these insults. If we want to stay neutral when we are insulted and not be affected, then we also have to be neutral in praise. Tulyaninda stutir mauni, santushto yena kenachit. So a devotee's quality is like that. In the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, it is mentioned. Tulyaninda stutir, I think 12:19 maybe. So that is how a Vaishnava conducts himself. Yeah. Aniketa sthiramatir bhaktaman me priyo naraha. So what is that? One who is equal to friends and enemies, who is equipoised in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy, who is always free from the contaminating association, always silent and satisfied with anything, who doesn't care for any residence, who is fixed in knowledge and who is engaged in devotional service, such a person is very dear to me. And here, क्षिप्तो वमानितो सद्भिः प्रलब्धो सूयितोऽथवा ताडितः सन्निरुद्धो वा वृत्त्या वा परिहापितः निष्ठ्युतो मूत्रितो वाग्न्यैर् बहुधैवं प्रकम्पितः श्रेयस्कामः कृच्छ्रगतः आत्मनात्मानमुद्धरेत्. Even though neglected, insulted, ridiculed, or envied by bad men, or even though repeatedly agitated by being beaten, tied up, or deprived of one's occupation, spat upon, or polluted with urine by ignorant people, one who desires the highest goal in life should, in spite of all these difficulties, use his intelligence to keep himself safe on the spiritual platform. So, in so many ways, even if one is attacked mentally and physically, he should keep his intelligence safe on the spiritual platform. What does that mean? That he should not deviate from Kīrtaniya sada hari. And that can be done if Trinadapi Sunichena, Tarorapi Sahishvana, Amanina, and Manadena are performed. Then Kīrtaniya sada hari can happen. So this is easier said than done. You see, there is a next verse actually says, you see, Sudushaham imam manya atmanyasadati vidusham api vishwatman prakritirhi baliyasi rite tvaddharma niratan shantam ste charanalayan. O soul of the universe, the conditioning of one's personality in material life is very strong, and therefore it is very difficult even for learned men to tolerate the offenses committed against them by ignorant people. Only your devotees who are fixed in your loving service and who have achieved peace by residing at your lotus feet are able to tolerate such offenses. So you see, for the most people, unable to tolerate, difficult for even learned men to tolerate the offenses committed against them by ignorant people. Only the devotees, Krishna's devotees who are fixed in your loving service. That's the most important part. If we are not fixed in Krishna's service, then we also will not be able to tolerate the offenses. So because Haridas Thakur was doing Kirtaniya Sadahari, literally, he was all the time chanting 192 rounds a day. And therefore, how was he able to do that? Because he was perfectly situated in Trinadapi Sunichena, Tarorapi Sahishvana, Amanina, and Manadena. Now, we are not there, of course, far, far, far removed from his position. But the only way we can actually improve ourselves is to take inspiration from personalities like this. Why did Prahlad Maharaj say that verse 7.10.3 we have just seen? Oh, people in the material world are full of lusty desires, and therefore you have sent me to this material world to exhibit the symptoms of a pure devotee. Why? So that they will change. They may take inspiration from him and change. Yeah. That's the whole point. In fact, next, actually, after this verse, this chapter ends, yes. And 11th, 23, 2 and actually 3. Yeah, okay. Sri Bhagavan Vacha. बार्हस्पत्य न नास्त्यत्र साधुर्वै दुर्जनेरितैहिं दुरक्तैर्भिन्नमात्मानं यः समाधातुमीश्वरः. Lord Sri Krishna said, O disciple of Brihaspati, Uddhava, there is virtually no saintly man in this world capable of resettling his own mind after it has been disturbed by the insulting words of uncivilized men. Virtually no saintly man in this world capable of resettling his own mind. You see, Krishna is. So it's not an easy thing to actually do that. But at the same time, we should not say, you see, this is, yeah, so it's okay if I'm unable to resettle my mind. The point is, we have to resettle our mind for our own good. It is not okay to not resettle our mind because we will be suffering from our mind. Because who is living with our mind? Only we. Sometimes others. When we become source of trouble for others, yes, then we spread those miseries to others. And this is especially true for those who are fixed in the bodily concept of life. You see, गृहेषु कूटधर्मेषु दुःखतन्त्रे स्वतन्त्रितः कुर्वन् दुःख प्रतीकारं सुखवन् मन्यते गृही. The attached householder remains in his family life, which is full of diplomacy, politics, and constantly spreading miseries. Spreading misery. Not only is he miserable, he is also spreading it to others. Attached householder. Restricted in his acts of sense gratification, he acts just to counteract his miseries. And if he can successfully counteract such miseries, he thinks that he's happy. So yes, we can spread the misery to others. But of course, we can only spread if they are uncontrolled themselves. Otherwise, if we try to unsettle an actual sadhu, he will not be unsettled. But when somebody is not unsettled, when somebody is unsettled, then a materialistic person who is not a pure devotee, he will be unsettled by any praise or insult. But you can just see how rare it is. How rare it is. Virtually no saintly man is capable of resettling his own mind. So, going down next verse as well. न तथा तप्यते विद्धः पुमान् बाणैस्तु मर्मगैः यथा तुदन्ति मर्मस्था हि असतां परुषेशवः. Sharp arrows which pierce one's chest and reach the heart do not cause as much suffering as the arrows of harsh, insulting words that become lodged within the heart when spoken by uncivilized men. And this is the reason why at least we should not hurt others. We should try. That's why amanina manadena. We should not expect respect. If people throw insult, we should be praying to Prabhupada and Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to give us the strength to tolerate such insult and not be angry at those who insulted us. Because if I'm angry at the person who insulted us, that means I have not tolerated the insult. So we have to be able to tolerate, and for that we have to be knowing what is actually worth our attention. So why the pure devotees are not, they can easily tolerate, because they know what is worth their attention and what is not. The soul, Krishna, are worth their attention. The body is not worth so much attention. Yes, there is a little bit of attention needed to maintain the body as long as it is alive, as long as it is, existent, for the time frame that it was destined to exist by Krishna's will. So there is some attention required, but almost to the point of nil. Pure devotee, nidra hara vihara kadi vijito. So they have conquered, the six Goswamis, they have conquered over the bodily necessities of life, and they were absorbed in Krishna consciousness. And because they were attentive there, they were very inattentive on how other people treated them and how they felt about it. They did not feel anything actually. We can only feel something when we have, we consider something valuable. Nobody feels that, some dust was swept away from my room. Oh, the dust particle is no more there in my room. I have lost the dust particle. Nobody cares. Who cares? We don't value a dust particle in our room. In fact, if anything, it has to be gone out. So, likewise, it's very insignificant. Prithvi renuranu payam sikanika. So, a devotee who has come to Krishna consciousness, he considers even the whole world, whole universe as a speck of dust. And who cares for dust? So he doesn't really care for any honor in this material world. He is just happy in Krishna consciousness. That's all. And actually, I have made I think, TikTok video about Haridasa Thakur. Khanda khanda hoye deha. Haridas Thakur. When the miscreant Mohammedans tortured Haridas Thakur, this is Haridas Thakur himself, he said, Khanda khanda hoye deho jai jadi pran, tabu ami vadane na chhadi harinam. Eshabad jivere Krishna koroho prasad, mor drohe nahu esha baro aparad. This is the epitome of tolerance. He was being whipped and flagelled in 22 marketplaces, publicly flagelled. They wanted to kill him. But even if my body is cut into pieces and I lose my life, and actually this lose is not lose, this should be LOSE. Even if my body is cut into pieces and I lose my life, I will never give up chanting the Lord's holy name. O Krishna, please be merciful upon these poor souls. Kindly excuse them for their offense of torturing me. In fact, they have not offended me, in that way. In fact, who was that? Jesus Christ also prayed like that, right? When he was being crucified on the cross, he said, oh, please forgive them. They do not know what they're doing. Oh Lord, please forgive them. They do not know what they're doing. That is a symptom of a Vaishnava. I'm sorry about that. Wait a second. So, sorry for the sound. I think it was very loud, probably. Kindly excuse them for their offense of torturing me. In fact, he did not even consider that an offense. More drohe nahu. So, this is tolerance. So, we can just see the behavior of a pure devotee from this example. In fact, actually, let's go to that 11:23 and see what is the next verse. What is being said there? Bhikshuna Gitam, yes. So this is the Avanti Brahmana, I think. Avanti Sannyas, I think. See, 11:23:5 purport. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur comments as follows. Often those who give up the materialistic path and devote themselves to renunciation are attacked by impious persons. This analysis, however, is superficial since the punishment is actually the cumulative result of one's past karma. Some renunciants show lack of tolerance when presented with the remnants of their previous sins, and thus are forced to enter again into the path of impious life. See, what an insight this is. Lucky we stopped here and kind of came here. You see, this analysis, often those who give up the materialistic path and devote themselves to renunciation are attacked by impious persons. This analysis, however, is superficial since the punishment is actually the cumulative result of one's past karma. So the renunciant has some past karma. The cumulative result is coming to him as these insults. Some renunciants show lack of tolerance when presented with the remnants of their previous sins, and thus are forced to enter again into the path of impious life. See how Maya is so vicious, so clever. So we have to understand that if at all we face any, this is nice, this is very good insight. Let me actually note that down. Because I did not come across this before. So you see, we are actually suffering our own reaction. Mana param karanam. So because of our mind, we did something stupid, and now we are facing the reactions of it. But we may attribute the fault to someone else. But honestly, no one can do anything really faulty. I mean, of course, people can do faulty things and they will be punished for that. But nobody can harm us unless we allow ourselves to be harmed. And how do we allow ourselves to be harmed? When we are not Trinadapi Sunichena, when we are not Tarorapi Sahishnuna, when we are not Amanina, when we are not Manadena, then we are like announcing, please hurt me. Please hurt me. So we are prone to be hurt when we are like this. So whenever these things come, we should just understand that they are the remnants of some past our sinful life reactions to that, and let's use that in Krishna's service by learning how to be tolerant. So that's how we have to take this. This is a very, very nice lesson, honestly. See how analysis by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore instructs that one should become as tolerant as a tree. If a neophyte on the path of devotional service to the Lord's pure devotees is attacked by envious persons, he must accept it as a consequence of his previous fruitive activities. One should be intelligent and avoid future unhappiness by rejecting the ethic of an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. If one refuses to enter into enmity with envious men, they will automatically leave him alone. See how Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is saying. If one refuses to enter into enmity with envious men, they will automatically leave him alone. So sometimes we this is the urge of the mind. Vacho vegam manasah krodha vegam, the urge of anger, the urge of words and mind. We want to say something back, we want to retaliate, we want to plan something, or we want to think about, in a hateful way about those who bring us some insult or pain. But that will not ultimately solve the problem, because we're just creating a chain of another problem. So the best thing is to tolerate. Matra sparshasta kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkadaha agama payano nitya stam stitikshasva bharata is the best course for navigating this material world, is to just tolerate. It seems like a very ingenious advice, but Krishna himself gave that advice. How to solve the problem? First thing he said, you are not the body, and therefore matra sparshasta kaunteya. Immediately 2:13 is you are not the body, and then after that next verse he says matra sparshasta kaunteya tam stitikshasva bharata. So tolerance is what he said, is how we should deal with disturbances pertaining to this material body and the material mind. We just have to focus on our service and go on with that, and pray to Prabhupada, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Krishna, so that we get the strength to deal with all of this easily. And as long as we're absorbed in Krishna's service, nothing really matters. Nothing really matters. As long as we're in Krishna's service. Once we're not in Krishna's service, then our mind becomes idle mind is a devil's workshop, and that's what will happen. This is a very nice Avanti Shuddvijah Kaschit, the Avanti Brahmana. So anyway, going back. I came all the way here. 64, right? You see, Haridas Thakur said, I am very sinful, and therefore I will stay outside and I will eat later. But Chaitanya and Nityananda did not say that, oh, please come. They also did not say anything. Dui prabhu loya acharya gela bhitar ghare prasad dekhiya prabhur ananda antare. Advaita Ācārya took Lord Nityananda Prabhu and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu within the room, and the two lords saw the arrangement of the prasadam. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was especially very pleased. Purport. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was pleased because he saw how nicely so many varieties of food were prepared for Krishna. Actually, all kinds of prasadam are prepared for Krishna, not for the people, but the devotees partake of prasadam with great pleasure. ऐच्छे अन्न जय कृष्ण के कराय भोजन जन्मे जन्मे शिरे धरो ताहार चरण. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu approved of all the methods employed in cooking and offering food to Krishna. Indeed, he was so pleased that he said, frankly, I will personally take the lotus feet of anyone who can offer Krishna such nice food and place those lotus feet on my head birth after birth. He's so kind. I mean, somebody who cooks, he's saying, I'll put his lotus feet on my head. Prabhu jane teen bhog Krishnera naivedya Ācāryera mana katha nahe prabhur vedya. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu entered the room, he saw 3 divisions of food and he knew that all of these were meant for Krishna. However, he did not understand the intentions of Advaita Ācārya. Purport. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur states that one of these servings was offered in a metal dish and was meant for Krishna, whereas the other 2 were placed on big banana leaves. The offering on the metal plate was personally offered by Advaita Ācārya to Krishna. The other 2 servings on banana leaves were to be accepted by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda. That was Advaita Ācārya's intention, but he did not disclose this to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Thus, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw the food offered in 3 places, he thought that all of it was meant for Krishna. Prabhu bole vaise Tine koriye bhojan, Acharya kohe ami koribo pariveshan. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, let us sit down in these three places and we shall take prasadam. However, Advaita Ācārya said, I shall distribute the prasadam. So there was this question in the comments. Did he actually feel the pain or was he protected by the Lord? So Haridas Thakur, when he was being beaten, well, actually he did not feel the pain. He was protected by the Lord. And that's only because he was completely surrendered. He did not feel any of the pain. Just like Draupadi, she was completely surrendered and she was provided all the sari. Ordinary devotees won't get this kind of thing, but that is because of our lack of surrender. 100% surrender, yes, then we will also not feel pain. But because we're not 100% surrendered, and therefore we feel pain. Jesus Christ, I mean, he was being crucified. Externally, it was very painful, but because he's a Vaishnava, he did not feel pain. Otherwise, how could he think of the people? He said, "Oh Lord, please forgive them; they do not know what they're doing." When I'm in pain, I will just think of, I will just think of my pain. I will not forget about thinking about them, thinking about they are good. That can only be done if I am, first of all, completely painless and self-satisfied. I can think of others' distress and how to solve their problem. Otherwise, I'll just be concerned with my own problems. That's why a preacher, if he is self-satisfied in his Krishna consciousness, then he can confidently and without any problem, he can preach. If he himself is embroiled in all kinds of problems, then he will not have any time or peace of mind to preach. He should be peaceful. Prahlad Maharaj said that, right? Naivodvije paraduratya vaitaranyas tadvirya gayana mahamrita magna chittaha shoche tato vimukha chetasa indriyartha maya sukhaya bharam udvahato vimudhan. 7943. O best of the great personalities, Narasimhadev, I am not at all afraid of material existence, for wherever I stay, I am fully absorbed in thoughts of your glories and activities. My concern is only for the fools and rascals who are making elaborate plans for material happiness and maintaining their families, societies, and countries. I am simply concerned with love for them. So, because he is happy, he is not afraid, and therefore he can think of other people's distress and paradukha dukhi. And he's not envious. Nirmatsaranam. If he is matsaranam, that means he is envious of others, then he will want to see their distress and he becomes happy with that. Or if he sees their happiness, he becomes distressed. Oh, why are they happy? Why am I not happy? Why only I am put in always I am put in trouble. Others seem to be happy. Only my situation is very bad. This is an envious person. But I'm an actual devotee. He understands that actually everyone is suffering, and he's happy in his Krishna consciousness. कौन स्थाने वसिबो आर आन दुई पात अल्प करे आनी ताहे देहो व्यंजन भात व्यंजन. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thought that all three servings were meant for distribution. Therefore, he asked for another 2 banana leaves, saying, "Let us have a very little quantity of vegetable and rice." Acharya kohe baishe dohe pidi rau pare eto bole hate dhari vasaila duhare. Advaita Ācārya said, "Just sit down here on these seats." Catching their hands, he sat them both down. प्रभु कहे सन्यासीर भक्षण है उपकरण, इहा खाइले कैछे होय इंद्रिय वारण. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said it is not proper for a sannyasi to eat such a variety of foods. If he does, how can he control his senses? The word upakarana indicates a variety of foods such as dal, vegetables, and other varieties of possible dishes that one can eat very nicely with rice. It is not proper, however, for a sannyasi to eat such palatable dishes. If he did so, he would not be able to control his senses. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not encourage sannyasis to eat very palatable dishes, for the whole Vaishnava cult is Vairagya Vidya as renounced as possible. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also advised Raghunath Das Goswami not to eat very palatable dishes, wear very nice garments, or talk on mundane subjects. These things are all prohibited for those in the renounced order. A devotee does not accept anything to eat that is not first offered to Krishna. All the rich foods offered to Krishna are given to the grihasthas, the householders. There are many nice things offered to Krishna: garlands, bedsteads, nice ornaments, nice food, and even nicely prepared pan, betel nuts. But a humble Vaishnava, thinking his body material and nasty, does not accept such preparations for himself. He thinks that by accepting such things, he will offend the lotus feet of the Lord. Those who are Sahajiyas cannot understand what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu meant when he asked Advaita Ācārya to bring 2 separate leaves and give a small quantity of the prasadam to him. So, that instruction to Raghunath Das Goswami is ভালো না খাইবে Gramya Katha. So, Chaitanya Charitamrita 6.236. গ্রাম্য কথা না শুনিবে, গ্রাম্য বার্তা না কহিবে, ভালো না খাইবে আর ভালো না পড়িবে. Do not talk like people in general or hear what they say. You should not eat very palatable food, nor should you dress very nicely. So, I mean, sannyasis, this is very apt. But also, we should generally keep ourselves simple and not be too flashy with our lifestyle. So, especially for sannyasis, he is setting an example, you see. आचार्य कहे छाड़ा तुमी आपनार चुरी, आमी सब जानी तुम्हार सन्यासेर भारी भूरी. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not accept the food that had already been served, Advaita Ācārya said, please give up your concealment. I know what you are, and I know the confidential meaning of your accepting the sannyas order. So actually he was Krishna himself. Jai Gaura Shai Krishna Shai Jagannath. And so he's non-different from Jagannath. In fact, that I think will be mentioned here, probably. So Krishna, he can eat the whole universe. He can eat. Multiple universes are, coming in and out by Mahavishnu's breathing, and that Mahavishnu only is Yasyega Nishvasita Kalamathavalambya Jivanti Loma Vilaja Jagannandanatha Vishnur Mahansa Iha Yasya Kala Vishesha. Kala means portion of his portion of Krishna. So this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself. You don't talk about sannyas and all. I know what you are. You are Krishna himself. You are taking sannyas only to make the other people not disrespect you, because there were people who were disrespecting him, so he took sannyas so that officially they have to accept offer respect to a sannyasi. So in that way he wanted to save them, so he took sannyas. It's a kind of a cheating. Because he is bhoktaram, he is the enjoyer of everything. Of course he is also the renouncer. Bhoktaram yajna tapasam but also he's infinite in his opulence of renunciation as well at the same time. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so Advaita Ācārya is saying, I know why you are here, I know who you are, so don't try to cheat me. They nicely cheated Chaitanya Mahaprabhu while he was in his ecstasy. Now they are saying to him, he's saying to him that don't cheat me. Don't say all these things, you're going to eat everything that I have served you. भोजन करह छाड़ वचन चातुरी प्रभु कहे अन्न खाइते ना पारे. Advaita Ācārya thus requested Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to eat and give up juggling words. The Lord replied, I certainly cannot eat so much food. Acharya bole, akapate karah ahar, jadi khaite na pare pate rahi bekar. Advaita Ācārya then requested the Lord to simply accept the prasadam without pretense. Akapata. Kapata means, cheating, pretending. If he could not eat it all, the balance could be left on the plate so that Advaita Ācārya could eat. So, Prabhu bole eto anna nari bo khaite Sannyasis dharma nahe uchchishta rakhite. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I will not be able to eat so much food, and it is not the duty of a sannyasi to leave remnants. See, purport. According to Srimad Bhagavatam 11:18-19, Bahir jalashayam gatva tato pasprishyavagyatah vibhajya pavitam shesham bhunjita sheshamahritam. This is actually a very nice verse. So whatever edibles a sannyasi gets from a householder's house, he should take outside near some lake or river, and after offering the food to Vishnu, Brahma and the sun, 3 divisions, he should eat the entire offering and not leave anything for others to eat. And this is humility. But sometimes, pure devotees, exalted devotees, they may leave some remnants. And that is mercy. And they usually leave it to only very confidential servants for them to take, for the devotees to take. So we have the example of Narada Muni, who in his previous life was a maid servant's son, and he became perfect just by eating the remnants of the devotees, pure devotees. The general rule for everybody is not to leave remnants and eat everything. But because when somebody eats our remnants, then their karma comes to us. Unless I am very powerful, I cannot neutralize that. So one has to be a pure devotee in order to do something like that. उच्छिष्टलेपान् अनुमोदितो द्विजैः सकृत्स्म भुञ्जे तदपास्तकिल्बिषः एवं प्रवृत्तस्य विशुद्धचेतसस् तद्धर्म एवात्मरुचिः प्रजायते. Once only, by their permission, I took the remnants of their food, and by so doing, all my sins were at once eradicated. Thus, being engaged, I became purified in heart, and at that time, the very nature of the transcendentalist became attractive to me. So, just by eating the remnants of the food of those devotees, Narada Muni became so pure that his heart became like them. Yes, the purport here in the comments the purport says that such remnants can be taken without permission. Yes. So anyway, there is a very nice verse in the Antilila, I think, 16.60. Antya 16.16. Bhakta pada dhuli ar bhakta pada jal, bhakta bhukta avashesha tin mahabal. the dust of the feet of a devotee, the water that has washed the feet of a devotee, and the remnants of food left by a devotee are three very powerful substances. So this uchishta is also actually taken in another sense. It's the, for example, I have actually once mentioned about this. Of course, here it's mentioning about the food, but there is another uchishta of the devotees, you know. I forget the exact verse, but this verse also gives the idea. You see, निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं शुकमुखादमृतद्रव संयुतं पिबत भागवतं रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुकाः. O expert and thoughtful men, relish Srimad Bhagavatam, the mature fruit of the desire tree of Vedic literatures. It emanated from the lips of Sri Shukadeva Goswami, therefore this fruit has become even more tasteful, although its nectarine juice was already relishable for all, including liberated souls. So this is another Uchishta, which is when the scriptures are explained by a devotee, that words coming out of the devotee's mouth is also called Uchishta, and becomes even sweeter. The message of the Vedas, the Vedic literature, even becomes even sweeter from the lips of a pure devotee. Yes, 4:20-25 is there. Mahan Mukhachuto. There is another verse which is actually the word Uchishta is used in that. I think in the Chaitanya Charitamrita class, actually, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, I think, says Uchishta. That he's explaining the Uchishta of Vrindavan Das Thakur, was what he was saying. Something like this. Sa uttama shloka स उत्तम श्लोक महन्मुखच्युतो भवत्पदाम्भोज सुधाकणानिलः स्मृतिं पुनर्विस्मृत तत्त्ववर्त्मनां कुयोगिनां नो वितरत्यलं वरैः. My dear Lord, you are glorified by the selected verses uttered by great personalities. Such glorification of your lotus feet is just like saffron particles. When the transcendental vibration from the mouths of great devotees carries the aroma of the saffron dust of your lotus feet, the forgetful living entity gradually remembers his eternal relationship with you. Devotees thus gradually come to the right conclusion about the value of life. My dear Lord, I therefore do not need any other benediction but the opportunity to hear from the mouth of your pure devotee. So, very metaphorically, very nicely said, the words of the pure devotees contain the saffron dust particles of the Lord's lotus feet. That means they speak of the glories of the Lord's lotus feet, and that messages, when they enter the heart of the listener, they purify the audience. So he is saying like this, but there is another Uchishta. Vrindavan, I think Krishnadas Kaviraj is saying. I hope somebody maybe can help me find this. Yes, this is the one. Madhya 1.13. Chaitanya Leelara Vyasa Dasa Vrindavan Tara Agnyaya Karo Tara Uchishta Charvan. This is the one. So here he is saying, actually the authorized compiler of the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Srila Vrindavan Das, the incarnation of Vyasadeva. Only upon his orders am I trying to chew the remnants of food that he has left. So in this way, This is called Anukirtana. That means to repeat what the pure devotees have said. So that's why parampara is very important. So all these verses are there. So let's go back. आचार्य बोले नीला चले खाओ 54 बार, एक बारे अन्न खाओ शत शत भार. In this connection, Advaita Ācārya referred to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's eating at Jagannath Puri. Lord Jagannath and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are identical. Advaita Ācārya pointed out that at Jagannath Puri, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ate 54 times a day, and each time he ate many hundreds of pots of food. Sometimes it is a Chappan Bhog, 56, and here is Chavayan, 54. So anyway, he's eating so much, unlimited foods he's eating, and each item he's eating pots and pots, big pots. 3 जनार भक्ष पिंड तुम्हार एक ग्रास, तार ले खाए ए अन्न न है पंच ग्रास. Sri Advaita Ācārya said, the amount of food that 3 people can eat does not constitute even a morsel for you. In proportion to that, these edibles are not even 5 morsels of food for you. मोर भाग्य मोर घरे तुम्हार आगमन, छाड़ह चातुरी प्रभु करह भोजन. Advaita Ācārya continued, by my great fortune, you have just come to my home. Please do not juggle words, just begin eating and do not talk. He's asking Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to shut up. Chhadaha chaturi. So you see, this is how hospitality means. This is hospitality. So you see the culture. In the West, we hardly get this. Everybody just minds their own business, or they may eat in a restaurant or something like that. But this kind of, culture is there in India. In India, this is very common that they will request you to eat more and more. So in this way, especially so in the devotional circle, this is an exchange of love, and that is explained in this Nectar of Instruction, Upadeshamrita. Dadati pratigrahnati guhyam akhyati pritchati bhunkte bhojayate chaiva shadvidham priti lakshanam. Offering gifts in charity, accepting charitable gifts, revealing one's mind in confidence, inquiring confidentially, accepting prasad and offering prasad are the 6 symptoms of love shared by one devotee and another. So this is how our relationships become built among devotees. So that's why this prasad offering of Advaita Ācārya is a lesson on how to receive devotees at one's home. One should do like this. Sometimes, it may appear as time waste. Sometimes people may think this is time waste. Oh, what is the point? Everybody just coming and eating, and what is the whole learning here? But we can remember these pastimes and understand the significance of how to actually serve. We can observe how the devotees are serving. Oh, these people are so nicely serving the devotees. I should learn how to do this. So in this way, we have to see how, in light of all these pastimes, so you see, this is a verse, Upadesha Amrita. Upadesh, it's just Upadesh here. But the demonstration of this principle is, you can see in this today's pastime of Advaita Ācārya, receiving Chaitanya Nityananda. You see how he's receiving. So practical demonstrations of a devotee's life and all the instructions that are given in the scriptures and how to actually put it in practice. This is called Sadhur Vyavahar, the behavior of a sadhu. How a sannyasi should behave, how a grihastha should behave. All these are very nicely. Actually, in Chaitanya Charitamrita is full of lessons in Vaishnava etiquette. It's full. It's replete with these examples of Vaishnava etiquette. So many lessons, practical lessons. एट बोली जल दिला दुई गोसाईर हाथे हासिया लागिला दुहे भोजन करिते. Upon saying this, Advaita Ācārya supplied water to the two lords so that they could wash their hands. The two lords then sat down and smiling began to eat the prasadam. Nityananda kohe koilo tino upavas aji parana korite chilo bado ash. Nityananda Prabhu said, I have undergone fasting for 3 days continuously. Today I had hoped to break my fast. Aji upavas hoilo Acārya nimantrane ardhapet na bharive egrase ka anne. Although Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was thinking that the quantity of food was enormous, Nityananda Prabhu, on the contrary, thought it not even a morsel. He had been fasting for 3 days and had greatly hoped to break fast on that day. Indeed, he said, although I am invited to eat by Advaita Ācārya, today also is a fast. So small a quantity of food will not fill even half my belly. In both these behaviors of Chaitanya and Nityananda, there is no, how to say, no mistake. Both are right, although both are opposite. See? So one thing is, we should eat as much as is necessary to give us energy. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving the example where, sannyasi should not eat much. But we should not eat even too little that our body cannot be maintained. Not artificially we renounce. That is explained in Bhagavad Gita, right? 6:16, right? नात्यश्नतस्तु योगोस्ते न चैकान्तं अनश्नतः न चाति स्वप्नशीलस्य जाग्रतो नैव चार्जुन. There is no possibility of one's becoming a yogi, O Arjuna, if one eats too much or eats too little, sleeps too much or does not sleep enough. There is no possibility of one's becoming a yogi. Regulation of diet and sleep is recommended herein for the yogis. Too much eating means eating more than is required to keep the body and soul together. There is no need for men to eat animals because there is an ample supply of grains, vegetables, fruits, and milk. Such simple foodstuff is considered to be in the mode of goodness according to the Bhagavad Gita. Animal food is for those in the mode of ignorance. Therefore, those who indulge in animal food, drinking, smoking, and eating food which is not first offered to Krishna will suffer sinful reactions because of eating only polluted things. Bhunjate te tvagam papa ye pachantyatma karanat. Anyone who eats for sense pleasure or cooks for himself, not offering his food to Krishna, eats only sin. One who eats sin and eats more than is allotted to him cannot execute perfect yoga. It is best that one eat only the remnants of foodstuff offered to Krishna. A person in Krishna consciousness does not eat anything which is not first offered to Krishna. Therefore, only the Krishna conscious person can attain perfection in yoga practice. Nor can one who artificially abstains from eating, manufacturing his own personal process of fasting, practice yoga. So you see, artificially abstaining from eating. The Krishna conscious person observes fasting as it is recommended in the scriptures. He does not fast or eat more than is required. See, he does not fast or eat more than is required. He does not fast more than required. He does not eat more than required. So this is the balance. And he is thus competent to perform yoga practice. One who eats more than required will dream very much while sleeping, and he must consequently sleep more than is required. One should not sleep more than 6 hours daily. One who sleeps more than 6 hours out of 24 hours is certainly influenced by the mode of ignorance. A person in the mode of ignorance is lazy and prone to sleep a great deal. Such a person cannot perform yoga. Yukta hara viharasya yukta cheshtasya karmasu yukta swapnavabodhasya yogo bhavati dukkhaha. He who is regulated in his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work can mitigate all material pains by practicing the yoga system. So you see, so these are the things. So regulation is important. So many things we can learn from here. There's comment here. The Lord eats through the mouths of Brahmanas. That's the significance. Yes, that is the significance as well. So many lessons in one pastime. There are so many lessons to take. आचार्य कहे तुम्ही हो तैर्थिक सन्यासी कभु फल मूल खाओ कभु उपवासी. Fruits and roots. Advaita Ācārya replied, Sir, you are a mendicant traveling on pilgrimage. Sometimes you eat fruits and roots, and sometimes you simply go on fasting. So, an interesting thing here is roots, moola. So, root, when we uproot something, we are killing that thing. But you see, roots are eaten by even Nityananda Prabhu here. So, roots are something we can offer to Krishna. Because sometimes Jains, they don't eat anything that grows underground, like potatoes, ginger, carrots, beetroots. Because they think, oh, uprooting the plant means killing the plant, so therefore we cannot eat. Well, when we offer to Krishna, that plant also gets benefit, we also get benefit because it is, you see, here roots are there. That means it is, how to say, approved by the Lord, the roots. So that's why this idea of, oh, we will kill, vegetarians, vegans, they say, oh, we don't want to kill any soul or any living being, and therefore we eat only vegetarian food. But then plants are getting killed many times. What about that? They don't think plant life is important. So that's why this is the big defect of vegans. They think violence means only animal violence to animals. But no, violence means even plants is also viable. Life is life. But we can eat those things set aside for us as our quota and offer it to Krishna first before eating. I think in Srimad Bhagavatam also roots are mentioned in one place. Okay. दरिद्र ब्राह्मण घरे जे पायला मुष्टि एक अन्न इहाते संतुष्ट हो छाड़ लोभ मन. I am a poor Brahmana and you have come to my home. Please be satisfied with whatever little food you have received and give up your greedy mentality. On one side, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I cannot eat this much. Then Advaita Ācārya said, don't talk too much, just eat. Nityananda Prabhu said, this is too little, no, you don't be greedy, you eat whatever is there. This is hilarious. I am a poor Brahmana and you have come to my home. Please be satisfied with whatever little food you have received and give up your greedy mentality. नित्यानंद बोले जबे कोयले निमंत्रण तत देते चाहो जत करिए भोजन. Lord Nityananda Prabhu replied, whatever I may be, you have invited me. Therefore, you must supply as much as I want to eat. There's argument now between Nityananda and Advaita. सुनी नित्यानंदर कथा ठाकुर अद्वैता कहे न ताहारे किछु पाया पीड़िता. His Divine Grace Advaita Ācārya, after hearing the statement of Nityananda Prabhu, took the opportunity presented by the joking words and spoke to him as follows. भ्रष्ट अवधूत तुम्ही उदर भरिते संन्यास लायाच्छ बुझी ब्राह्मण दंडिते. Advaita Ācārya said, you are a reject Paramahamsa. And you have accepted the renounced order of life just to fill up your belly. I can understand that your business is to give trouble to Brahmanas. Purport. There is always a difference of opinion between Smartha Brahmana and Vaishnava Goswami. There are even Smartha opinions and Vaishnava Goswami opinions available in astrological and astronomical calculations. By calling Nityananda Prabhu a Bhrashta Avadhuta, a rejected Paramahamsa, Advaita Ācārya Prabhu, in a sense, accepted Nityananda Prabhu as a Paramahamsa. In other words, Nityananda Prabhu had nothing to do with the rules governing Smartha Brahmanas. Thus, under pretense of condemning him, Advaita Ācārya was actually praising him. In the Avadhuta stage, the Paramahamsa stage, which is the supermost stage, one may appear to be Vishayi on the platform of sense gratification, but in actuality, he has nothing to do with sense gratification. At that stage, a person sometimes accepts the symbols and dress of a sannyasi, and sometimes he does not. Sometimes he dresses like a householder. We should know, however, that these are all joking words between Advaita Ācārya and Nityananda Prabhu. They are not to be taken as insults. In Khadadaha, sometimes people misunderstood Nityananda Prabhu to belong to the Shakta Sampradaya, whose philosophy is Antah Shaktah Bahih Shaivah Sabhayam Vaishnavo Mataha. According to the Shakta Sampradaya, a person called Kaulavadhuta, means from Kula Avadhuta. Kaulavadhuta thinks materially while externally appearing to be a great devotee of Lord Shiva. When such a person is in an assembly of Vaishnavas, he appears like a Vaishnava. So he's like a chameleon basically. Antah Shaktah Bahih Shaivah Sabhayam Vaishnavo Mata. Thinks materially and while externally appearing to be a great devotee of Lord Shiva. When such a person is in an assembly of Vaishnavas, he appears like a Vaishnava. Actually, there are people like this who just put up a show, and they just are. They are just when they come to Krishna temple, they put some Vaishnav tilak or something, and then when we go to Shiva's temple, they just put their tilak and then the rest of the times they're just enjoying the materialistic life. Kaulavadhuta. When such a person is in an assembly of Vaishnavas, he appears like a Vaishnava. Actually, Nityananda Prabhu did not belong to such a community. Nityananda Prabhu was always a brahmachari of a sannyasi of the Vedic order. What? Nityananda Prabhu was always a brahmachari of a sannyasi of the Vedic order. Brahmachari or a sannyasi or of a sannyasi? Actually, he was a Paramahamsa. Sometimes he is accepted to be a disciple of Lakshmipati Tirtha. If he is so accepted, Nityananda Prabhu belonged to the Madhva Sampradaya. He did not belong to the Tantric Sampradaya of Bengal. So from the Tantric Sampradaya viewpoint, he is a rejected Paramahamsa because he did not conform to their rules. So in this way, there was this joking between Advaita Ācārya and Nityananda Prabhu. And actually deep purport is there. But I think later it will be said that there is deep meaning, but not many people could understand. Tumi khete par dasha vishamaner anna amitaha kaha pava daridra brahmana. Advaita Ācārya accused Nityananda Prabhu saying, you can eat 10 to 20 manas of rice. I am a poor brahmana. How shall I get so much rice? Purport. A mana is a measurement containing about 40 kilos. Oh. 10 to 20 manas of rice. 400 to 800 kilos of rice. जे पाया छ मुष्टि एक अन्न ताहा खाय उठ पागला में ना करे हो ना छड़ायो झूठा. There's a comment. People in the Kaul Sampradaya cannot be identified because they externally appear normal. So, whatever you have, though it be a palmful of rice, please eat it and get up. Don't show your madness and strew the remnants of food here and there. एमत हास्य रसे करे न भोजन अर्ध अर्ध खाया प्रभु छाड़े न व्यंजन. In this way, Nityananda Prabhu and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ate and talked with Advaita Ācārya jokingly. After eating half of each vegetable preparation given to him, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu abandoned it and went on to the next. Shei Vyanjana Acharya Puna Karena Purana Eimata Puna Puna Pariveshe Vyanjana. As soon as half of the vegetable in the pot was finished, Advaita Ācārya filled it up again. In this way, as the Lord finished half of a preparation, Advaita Ācārya again and again filled it up. Dona Vyanjane Bhari Korena Prarthana Prabhu Bolen Arakata Karibo Bhojana. Dona means pot. Even in South India, even now also they say donna, the small cup. But this is dona. Donna is like a small cup. They have usually some pongal or puli, pulihora, like that. They give in temples. Small leaf cup. After filling a pot with vegetables, Advaita Ācārya requested them to eat more, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "How much more can I go on eating?" Acharya kohe jedi achi tahana chhadiba ekhana jediye tar ardhek khaiba. Advaita Ācārya said, "Please do not give up whatever I have already given you. Now whatever I am giving, you may eat half and leave half." नाना जत्न दैन्य प्रभुरे करायलो भोजन आचार्यर इच्छा प्रभु करिलो पूरण. In this way, by submitting various humble requests, Advaita Ācārya made Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda eat. Thus, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fulfilled all the desires of Advaita Ācārya. नित्यानंद को हे आमार पेट ना भरिलो लया जाहा तोरो अन्न किच्छु ना खाइलो. Again, Nityananda Prabhu jokingly said, "My belly is not yet filled up. Please take away your food. I have not taken the least of it." एट बोली एक ग्रास भात हाथे लया उझाली फैलिला आगे जेन क्रुद्ध होया. After saying this, Nityananda Prabhu took a handful of rice and threw it on the floor in front of him as if he were angry. भात दुई चारि लागे आचार्य अंगे भात अंगे लया आचार्य नाचे बहुरंगे. When 2 or 4 pieces of the thrown rice touched his body, Advaita Ācārya began to dance in various ways with the rice still stuck to his body. अवधूतेर झूठा लागिलो मोर अवधूतेर झूठा लागिलो मोर अंगे परम पवित्र मोरे कोइलो ये ढंगे. When the rice thrown by Nityananda Prabhu touched his body, Advaita Ācārya thought himself purified by the touch of remnants thrown by Paramahamsa Nityananda. Therefore, he began dancing. Purport: the word Avadhuta refers to one above all rules and regulations. Sometimes, not observing all the rules and regulations of a sannyasi, Nityananda Prabhu exhibited the behavior of a mad Avadhuta. He threw the remnants of food on the ground, and some of these remnants touched the body of Advaita Ācārya. Advaita Ācārya accepted this happily because he presented himself as a member of the community of Smarta Brahmanas. By touching the remnants of food thrown by Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Ācārya immediately felt himself purified of all Smarta contamination. The remnants of food left by a pure Vaishnava are called Prasadam. This is completely spiritual and is identified with Lord Vishnu. Such remnants are not ordinary. The spiritual master is to be considered on the stage of Paramahamsa and beyond the jurisdiction of the Varnashram institution. The remnants of food left by the spiritual master and similar Paramahamsas or pure Vaishnavas are purifying. When an ordinary person touches such prasadam, his mind is purified and his mind is raised to the status of a pure Brahmana. The behavior and statements of Advaita Ācārya are meant for the understanding of ordinary people who are unaware of the strength of spiritual values, not knowing the potency of food left by the bona fide spiritual master and pure Vaishnavas. Just the verse before this, before the one we saw, 1660 was the Bhaktapada Dhuli ar Bhaktapada Jal Bhakta Bhukta Avashesha Teen Mahabal. And the verse before that, Krishner Uchishta Hoy Mahaprasad Nam Bhakta Shesha Hoyle Mahaprasadakhyan. The remnants of food offered to Krishna, Lord Krishna, are called Mahaprasadam. After the same Mahaprasadam has been taken by a devotee, the remnants are elevated to Mahaprasadam. See? So that was referred to by Prabhupada in the purport there. Tore nimantrana kore painu taro fal. Tor jati kula nahi sahaje pagal. Advaita Ācārya jokingly said, "My dear Nityananda, I invited you and indeed I have received the results. You have no fixed caste or dynasty. By nature, you are a madman." Purport: the words Sahaje Pagal, by nature a madman, indicate that Nityananda Prabhu was transcendently situated on the Paramahamsa stage. Because he always remembered Radha Krishna and their service, this was transcendental madness. Sri Advaita Ācārya was pointing out this fact. आपनार सम मोरे करिबार तोरे झूठा दिले विप्र बोली भय ना करिले. To make me a madman like yourself, you have thrown the remnants of your food at me. You did not even fear the fact that I am a Brahmana. Purport: the words Apanar Sama indicate that Advaita Ācārya considered himself to belong to the Smarta Brahmanas and he considered Nityananda Prabhu to be on the transcendental stage with pure Vaishnavas. Lord Nityananda gave Advaita Ācārya his remnants to situate him on the same platform and make him a pure unalloyed Vaishnava or Paramahamsa. Advaita Ācārya's statement indicates that a Paramahamsa Vaishnava is transcendently situated. A pure Vaishnava is not subject to the rules and regulations of the Smarta Brahmanas. That was the reason for Advaita Ācārya stating, Apanara Samamora Koribara Tore, to raise me to your own standard. A pure Vaishnava or a person on the Paramahamsa stage accepts the remnants of food, Mahaprasadam, as spiritual. He does not consider it to be material or sense gratificatory. He accepts Mahaprasadam not as ordinary dal and rice, but as spiritual substance. To say nothing of the remnants of food left by a pure Vaishnava, Prasadam is never polluted even if it is touched by the mouth of a Chandala. Indeed, it retains its spiritual value. Therefore, by eating or touching such Mahaprasadam, a Brahmana is not degraded. There is no question of being polluted by touching the remnants of such food. Actually, by eating such Mahaprasadam, one is freed from all the contaminations of the material condition. That is the verdict of the Shastra. So, this is very rigid in Smarta Brahmana communities, and since I come from one, I have seen all of that. They're very particular about Aupasana, which is, you say some mantras and, sprinkle water around the plate in clockwise direction before you start eating. And after you finish, then you have to do mantras, chanting and sprinkling of water in the anti-clockwise direction. And there is, these all rules are there. Eating of remnants of others is just beyond the rules and regulations of a Smarta Brahmana. You cannot do that. So, and usually, you see, this is in the Bhagavad Gita also it is mentioned. Food in the mode of ignorance. Yatayamam gatarasam puti paryushitam chayat uchhishtam apichamedhyam bhojanam tamasapriyam. Food prepared more than 3 hours before being eaten, food that is tasteless, decomposed and putrid, and food consisting of remnants and untouchable things is dear to those in the mode of darkness. Remnants, you see, uchhishtam, remnants of food eaten by others. See, this is actually tamasic. And in Smarta Brahmana communities, it is very rigidly followed that nobody eats another's uchhishta. But in Vaishnava culture, this is not followed. And that's why sometimes Smarta Brahmanas, they consider the Vaishnavas to be without culture. Hey, what is this? Eating remnants of others, this is like tamasic, these Vaishnavas, so-called Vaishnavas are all tamasic. So that's the context here. Why Advaita Ācārya and see Nityananda Prabhu threw the rice on the floor from his plate, uchhishta, and some of that rice touched Advaita Ācārya. I mean, this is not cordial behavior, this is not even gentleman behavior, this is not, Brahmana is not supposed to behave like this. But in Vaishnava, especially Nityananda Prabhu, I mean, prasadam means we are eating remnants of food of Krishna. That's the whole Yajna Shishta Hasana na santo. Yajna Shishta means what? Yajna Shishtamrita bhujo. That is also said in the 4th chapter. So, that is Yajna Shishta means the remnants of sacrifice. In fact, even when one offers demigods some worship, they are worshipped only as secondary worshippers. So, in order to, for example, worship Indra, I have to offer in the Yajna Kunda all the mantras offering to Vishnu first, and then that Yajna Shishta is offered to Indra by mantra. So it's always Yajna Shishta, even to demigods worship is actually Yajna Shishta of Vishnu. So Vaishnavas, they become, like it said, Krishnera Uchishta hoy Mahaprasad Nam. What is that? Vaishnava Uchishta hoy Maha Prasadakhyan. So that is Maha Prasadam. And Narad Muni became Narad Muni because of Uchishta Lepan. Then Narad Muni is tamasic, is it? How did he become Narad Muni then? He was in the tamasic situation in the previous life actually. He was a maid servant's son and his father is not known. That means you can judge the character of the mother. But somehow or other she had some piety, she served the devotees, pure devotees, Bhaktivedantas. And he also, as a 5-year-old boy, son, he also was engaged in their service. And like that, he became very great devotee by Uchishta Lepan, by eating their remnants. So that's not tamasic. And that's why in Smartha Brahmana communities also, the entire plate is completely eaten clean. You cannot leave anything behind. And I also, when I was a boy, I had to do all these things, all these rituals, and made sure that I eat only with my right hand. I cannot touch even the plate with my left hand. Very strict. In fact, they even take the glass to drink with the right hand only, not with the left hand. So left hand, nothing is touched. That is and they don't take even from the from the serving bowls. Somebody else will serve. The actual proper way to eat. So the person who is eating just sit down and eat. He sits down and eats. So that way it is done. That's the classic first class way of eating. And sitting on the floor. In fact, we had to sit on a pitham, on a little bit raised platform, and the plate will be on the floor. It is lower than Western way is like table. Chair is here and the table is here, and then you eat nicely without any bending of the body. But in our when I was small, not when I was small, I mean that's the proper way. They eat sitting on the pitham. Pitham means it's like a small seat, like wooden platform, like this height or something. So sit on that, and the banana leaf plate will be on the floor. Not only that, the banana leaf plate should be tapering towards the left, from right to left. All rules are there. And on the banana leaf plate, where there should be rice, where there should be dal, where there should be the sweet on the left or right, all these are, there is a specific place for all of these things. So those which should be eaten less, like sweets, or I think they're on the left or something like this. And podi and all the powders, dry powder, lentil powder dishes, they are I think at the below right or something like this in small quantities. So like this, there are sabjis on the top and rice at the center. So in this way, there's a whole system. There's so many rules and regulations there. And of course, they had meaning, not that without meaning. But Vaishnava is above this. And he does not strictly follow, he may not strictly follow all those rules and regulations, but he follows one rule regulation which is very strictly he follows, is that he is Krishna Prasadam. Smartha Brahmanas may or may not. But devotee of Krishna is very particular about it. Okay, what's the time? 9:45. Maybe another 15 minutes. नित्यानंद बोले ए कृष्णेर प्रसाद इहा के झूठा कहिले तुम्हें कइलो अपराध Nityananda Prabhu replied, "These are the remnants of food left by Lord Krishna. If you take them to be ordinary remnants, you have committed an offense." So this is another important thing. You see, in the Brihad Vishnu Puran, it is stated that one who considers Mahaprasadam to be equal to ordinary rice and dal certainly commits a great offense. Brihad Vishnu Puran. Ordinary edibles are touchable and untouchable, but there are no such dualistic considerations where prasadam is concerned. See, prasadam is transcendental and there are no transformations or contaminations, just as there are no contaminations or transformations in the body of Lord Vishnu himself. Thus, even if one is a Brahmana, he is certain to be attacked by leprosy and bereft of all family members if he makes such dualistic considerations. Oh, there's a reference here. Brihad Vishnu Puran verse is in purport of Brihad Bhagavatamrita 21156. Too long to post here. Mm-hmm. Okay. Interesting. So, thus, even if one is a Brahmana, he is certain to be attacked by leprosy and bereft of all family members if he makes such dualistic considerations. Sorry. Such an offender goes to hell, never to return. This is the injunction of the Brihad Vishnu Puran. It's very nice, actually. Because in the Mahabharata also there is such thing, right? Mahaprasade Govinde. Nama Brahmani Vaishnave. Swalpa Punyavatam Rajan Vishwaso Naiva Jayate. Oh, Skanda Puran and Mahabharata. Persons who are not very highly elevated in pious activities cannot believe in the remnants of food, prasadam of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, nor in Govinda, the holy name of the Lord, nor in the Vaishnavas. So they cannot have much faith in prasadam. Those who are Swalpa Punyavatam Rajan. So those who are very meager in the wealth of pious activities, that means those who are not very pious. They don't have faith in prasadam. Vishwaso naiva jayate. Vishwasa does not come in them, those who are not very pious. So you see, प्रत्येक सन्यासी यदि कराह भोजन तबे এই अपराध হইবে খণ্ডন. Srila Nityananda Prabhu continued, if you invite at least 100 sannyasis to your home and feed them sumptuously, your offense will be nullified. Ācārya কহে না করিব সন্ন্যাসী নিমন্ত্রণ সন্ন্যাসী না ছিল মোর ধর্ম. See, Advaita Ācārya replied, I shall never again invite another sannyasi, for it is a sannyasi who has spoiled all my Brahmanical smriti regulations. এটা বলি দুই জনে করাইল আচমন উত্তম শয়াতে লইয়া করাইল শয়ন. After this, Advaita Ācārya made the lords wash their hands and mouths. He then took them to a nice bed and made them lie down to take rest. So, here when Advaita Ācārya is saying that, sannyasi spoiled all my Brahmanical smriti regulations. Actually, Nityananda Prabhu, because he spoiled, I mean, in the sense, he threw his uchishta and then, that touched Advaita Ācārya. It is smarta wise, smriti means, smarta brahmanas means those who followers of the smritis. So, Brahmanical smriti regulations are all gone. See, smriti dharma. So, he will be considered a reject among the so-called smarta brahmanas. So, he will not be able to invite any more sannyasis. And which is good. So, that's actually what he meant. you came and spoiled all my Brahminical Smriti regulations. So basically, I'm liberated from my Smartha conditioning. Now I am actually properly situated in Vaishnava principles, is what he's saying. लवंग एलाची बीज उत्तम रसवास तुलसी मंजरी सह दिल मुखवास. Elachi means cardamom seeds. Lavanga means cloves. Sri Advaita Ācārya fed the two lords cloves and cardamom mixed with tulsi flowers. Thus there was a good fragrance within their mouths. So this is the, what is it called, mouth freshener after eating. Just all natural. Lavanga, cardamom and tulsi manjari. Of course, offered one we can eat. So like that. सुगंधि चंदने लिप्त कोयलो कलेवर सुगंधि पुष्पमाला ani dilo hridayo para. Sri Advaita Ācārya then smeared the bodies of the lords with sandalwood pulp and then placed very fragrant flower garlands on their chests. Ācārya karite chahe pada samvahana sankuchita haya prabhu bole na vachana. When the Lord lay down on the bed, Advaita Ācārya waited to massage his legs, but the Lord was very hesitant and spoke as follows to Advaita Ācārya. बहुत ना चाइला तुम्ही छाड़ना छन मुकुंद हरिदास लैया करह भोजन. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Advaita Ācārya, you have made me dance in various ways. Now give up this practice, go with Mukunda and Haridas and accept your lunch. See, Advaita Ācārya solidly cheated Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from the point where Nityananda wanted to cheat him. Advaita Ācārya cooperated nicely. And in the pretext of Vrindavan and all that, brought Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Shantipur and nicely fed him a sumptuous feast. And every time he was trying to say that no, I will not eat so much, he will say something else and make him eat so much. Where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to go and where he brought him and what did he do with him. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu finally said, "You have made me dance in various ways. Now give up this practice. Go with Mukunda and Haridas," because now he wants to massage. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is here telling Advaita Ācārya that it is not befitting for a sannyasi to accept nice beds to lie on or to chew cloves and cardamom and have his body smeared with sandalwood pulp. Nor is it befitting for him to accept fragrant garlands and have his legs massaged by a pure Vaishnava. You have already made me dance according to your vow. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, now please stop it. You can go and take your lunch with Mukunda and Haridas. तबेट आचार्य संगे लइया दुई जने करिल इच्छाय भोजन जे आछिल मने. Thereupon Advaita Ācārya took Prasadam with Mukunda and Haridas, and they all wholeheartedly ate as much as they desired. शांतिपुरेर लोक सुनि प्रभुर आगमन देखिते आइला लोक प्रभुर चरण. When the people of Shantipur heard that Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was staying there, they all immediately came to see his lotus feet. हरि हरि बोले लोक आनंदित होइया चमत्कार पाइलो प्रभुर सौंदर्य देखिया. Being very pleased, all the people loudly began to shout the holy name of the Lord, Hari Hari. Indeed, they became struck with wonder upon seeing the beauty of the Lord. Gauradeho kanti surya jiniya ujjwal aruna vastra kanti tahe kore jhalamal. They saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's very fair complexioned body and its bright luster which conquered the brilliance of the sun. Over and above this was the beauty of the saffron garments that glittered upon his body. Aise jaye loka harshe nahi samadhan loker sanghatte dino hoilo avasan. People came and went with great pleasure. There was no calculating how many people assembled there before the day was over. Sandhyate Ācārya arambhilo Sankirtan. Ācārya nachena Prabhu korena darshan. As soon as it was evening, Advaita Ācārya began the congregational chanting. He even began to dance himself, and the Lord saw the performance. Nityananda Gosai bule Acharya dhariya, Haridasa pache nache harashita haya. When Advaita Ācārya began to dance, Nityananda Prabhu began dancing behind him. Haridas Thakur, being very pleased, also began dancing behind him. Ki kohibo re sakhi ajuk anand aur chiradine madhava mandire mor. Advaita Ācārya said, "My dear friends, what shall I say? Today I have received the highest transcendental pleasure. After many, many days, Lord Krishna is in my house." Purport. This is a song composed by Vidyapati. Interesting. Sometimes the word Madhava is misunderstood to refer to Madhavendra Puri. Advaita Ācārya was a disciple of Madhavendra Puri, and consequently some people think that he was referring to Madhavendra Puri by using the word Madhava. But actually this is not the fact. This song was composed to commemorate the separation of Krishna from Radharani during Krishna's absence in Mathura. It is thought that this song was sung by Srimati Radharani when Krishna returned. It is technically called Mathura Viraha. এই পদ গাওয়ায়া হর্ষে করেন নর্তন স্বেদকম্প পুলকাশ্রু হোকার গর্জন. Advaita Ācārya led the Sankirtan party, and with great pleasure he sang this verse. There was a manifestation of ecstatic perspiration, shivering, raised hairs, tears in the eyes, and sometimes thundering and bellowing. Let's see that again. Ki kahibo re sakhi ajuk anand aur chiradine madhava mandire mor. So he was singing this over and over again. Ki kahibo re sakhi ajuk anand aur chiradine madhava mandire mor. Mathur Viraha. Verses 114, 115, 117, 112, 124, and 125 are from the Mathur Viraha by Vidyapati. Okay. 115 doesn't seem to be. फिरी फिरी कभु प्रभुर धरे न चरण चरणे धरिया प्रभुरे बोले न वचन. While dancing, Advaita Ācārya would sometimes turn around and around and catch the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Advaita Ācārya would then speak to him as follows. अनेक दिन तुमी मोरे बेड़ाइले भांडिया घरेते पायाछि एबे राखिबो बांधिया. Sri Advaita Ācārya would say, "Many days you escaped me by bluffing. Now I have you in my home and I will keep you bound up." 115 is also the song. You see, 115 is just Advaita Ācārya led the Sankirtan party. I don't think it's the song. এটা বলি আচার্য আনন্দে করেন নর্তন প্রহরেক রাত্রে আচার্য কইল সংকীর্তন. So speaking, Advaita Ācārya performed congregational chanting with great pleasure for 3 hours that night and danced all the time. 3 hours, dancing for 3 hours. प्रेमेर उत्कंठा प्रभुर नाहि कृष्ण संग विरहे बाडिलो प्रेम ज्वालार तरंग. When Advaita Ācārya danced in that way, Lord Chaitanya felt ecstatic love for Krishna, and because of his separation, the waves and flames of love increased. व्याकुल हया प्रभु भूमि ते पड़िला, गोसाई देखिया आचार्य नृत्य संभरिला. Being agitated by the ecstasy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu suddenly fell to the ground. Seeing this, Advaita Ācārya stopped dancing. प्रभुर अंतर मुकुंद जाने भाल मते, भावे रसदृश पद लागिला गाइते. When Mukunda saw the ecstasy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he understood the feelings of the Lord and began to sing many stanzas, augmenting the force of the Lord's ecstasy. See, this is Mukunda Datta. Um, in the Gaurarti we sing what? Nara Hari Adi Kori Chamara Dhulaya Sanjaya Mukunda Vasu Ghosha Adi Gaya. Sanjaya Mukunda and Vasu Ghosh, Vasudev Ghosh, Adi Gaya. They were singing. They were actually very good singers. Mukunda, Vasudev Ghosh. I think Mukunda Datta, Mukunda Ghosh. I think Mukunda Datta maybe, and Vasudev Ghosh. They were great singers. So, and began to sing many stanzas, augmenting the force of the Lord's ecstasy. आचार्य उठाइल प्रभु के करिते नर्तन, पद सुनि प्रभु रंग ना जाए धारण. Advaita Ācārya raised the body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to help him dance, but the Lord, after hearing the stanzas sung by Mukunda, could not be held due to his bodily symptoms. Ashrukampa pulaka sveda gadgada vachan, kshane uthe kshane pade kshane karodan. Tears fell from his eyes and his whole body trembled. His bodily hairs stood on end, he perspired heavily, and his words faltered. Sometimes he stood and sometimes he fell and sometimes he cried. Ha ha pran priya sakhi kina hoilo more, kanu prema vishe more tanu man jare. So this is, I think, the stanza. Mukunda sang, my dear intimate friend, what has not happened to me? Due to the effects of the poison of love for Krishna, my body and mind have been severely afflicted. Purport. When Mukunda saw that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was feeling ecstatic pain and manifesting ecstatic bodily symptoms, all due to feelings of separation from Krishna, he sang songs about Srimati Radharani's meeting with Krishna. Advaita Ācārya also stopped dancing. So you see how by seeing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mood, he was quoting. So there is actually a nice verse. Yes, this is the one. उत्तमश्चिन्तितं कुर्यात् प्रोक्तकार्ये तु मध्यमः अधमो श्रद्धया कुर्यात् अकर्तोच्चरितं पितुः. I myself need to note it down. So it is said, a son who acts by anticipating what his father wants him to do is first class. A son who acts by anticipating what his father wants him to do is first class. One who acts upon receiving his father's order is second class. And one who executes his father's order irreverently is third class. Means without respect. But a son who refuses his father's order is like his father's tool. And in the purport, Prabhupada says, one Indian poet has spoken of Putra and Mutra. Putra means son and Mutra means urine. Both the son and urine come from the same genitals. If a son is an obedient devotee of the Lord, he is called Putra or a real son. Otherwise, if he is not learned and is not a devotee, a son is nothing better than urine. So why I showed this? Because Mukunda, he could understand what the Of course, here is mentioned son and father in the case of Yayati, but also this also goes same principle for Guru and Shishya. So Shishya should know what the Guru wants, and he should, without even him asking, he should, do that. That's the first class disciple. Second class disciple is, upon receiving order, he should do. That is second class. And who does the father, the Guru's order, who fulfills the Guru's order but irreverently, without respect, is third class. But a disciple who refuses the Guru's order is like stool. So this is for son and father this applies, and also for Shishya and Guru also. And in this way, in this case, it was servant and master like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Mukunda. So he was anticipating and then quoting like that. Tulsi dāsa, is it? Tulsi dāsa. So, going back, रात्रि दिने पड़े मन सोयास्ति ना पान, जहाँ गेले कानु पान तहाँ उड़ी जान. So I think this is also by Mukunda. My feeling is like this: my mind burns day and night, and I can get no rest. If there were some place I could go to meet Krishna, I would immediately fly there. Taha udi jan. Ratri dine pade man soyasti na pan. Jaha gele kanu pan taha udi jan. Very nice. এই পদ গায় মুকুন্দ মধুর সুস্বরে শুনিয়া প্রভুর চিত্ত অন্তরে vidare. You see, madhura susware, very beautiful voice he had, Mukunda. So that's why in that Gaurarti song, this fourth verse, Narahari, that Sanjaya Mukunda Vasu Ghosha Adi Gaya. So this Mukunda is one of them. Madhura susware, very sweet, nice voice. This stanza was sung by Mukunda in a very sweet voice, but as soon as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard this stanza, his mind went to pieces. Nirveda Vishada Harsha Chapalya Garva Dainya Prabhur Sahita Yuddha. Nirveda Vishada Harsha Chapalya Garva Dainya Prabhur Sahita Yuddha Kare Bhava Sainya. The transcendental ecstatic symptoms of disappointment, moroseness, pleasure, restlessness, pride, and humility all began to fight like soldiers within the Lord. Purport: Harsha is described in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Harsha is experienced when one finally attains the desired goal of life and consequently becomes very glad. When Harsha is present, the body shivers and one's bodily hairs stand on end. There are perspiration, tears, and an outburst of passion and madness. The mouth becomes swollen and one experiences inertia and illusion. When a person attains his desired object and feels very fortunate, the luster of his body increases. Because of his own qualities and feelings of greatness, he does not care for anyone else, and this is called garva or pride. In this condition, one utters prayers and does not reply to others' inquiries. Looking at one's own body, concealing one's desires, and not heeding the words of others are symptoms visible in the ecstasy of garva. Jara jara hoilo prabhu bhavera prahare bhumite padilo shwasa nahiko sharire. The entire body of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to totter due to the onslaught of various ecstatic symptoms. As a result, he immediately fell to the ground and his breathing almost stopped. देखिया चिंतिता होइला जत भक्तगण आचंबिते उठे प्रभु करिया गर्जन. Upon seeing the condition of the Lord, all the devotees became very anxious. Then suddenly the Lord got up and began to make thundering sounds. Bolu bolu bole nache anande vihvala bujhana na jaya bhava taranga prabala Upon standing up, the Lord said, "Go on speaking, go on speaking." Thus he began to dance, overwhelmed with pleasure. No one could understand the strong waves of this ecstasy. नित्यानंद संगे बोले प्रभु के धरिया आचार्य हरिदास बोले पाछेट नाचिया. Lord Nityananda began to walk with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to see that he would not fall, and Advaita Ācārya and Haridas Thakur followed them dancing. मत प्रहरे क नाचे प्रभु रंगे कभु हर्ष कभु विषाद भावे तरंगे. In this way, the Lord danced for at least 3 hours. Sometimes the symptoms of ecstasy were visible, including pleasure, moroseness, and many other waves of ecstatic emotional love. 3 दिन उपवासे कोरिया भोजन उद्दंड नृत्येते प्रभुर होइलो परिश्रम. The Lord had been fasting for 3 days, and after that period he took eatables sumptuously. Thus, when he danced and jumped high, he became a little fatigued. तबुट न जाने श्रम प्रेमाविष्ट होया नित्यानंद महाप्रभु के राखिलो धरिया. Being fully absorbed in love of Godhead, he would not understand his fatigue. But Nityananda Prabhu, catching him, stopped his dancing. So he would dance and he would actually fall because his legs were giving way. But he wouldn't know, he would just fall. But so Nityananda Prabhu was holding him. So I think there is a picture also like that. Rath Yatra card, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was dancing and Nityananda Prabhu was trying to hold him. Right? There's a painting like that. आचार्य गोसाई तबे राखिलो कीर्तन नाना सेवा करे प्रभु के कराइलो शयन. Although the Lord was fatigued, Nityananda Prabhu kept him steady by holding him. At that time, Advaita Ācārya suspended the chanting and by rendering various services to the Lord, made him lie down to take rest. एई मत 10 दिन भोजन कीर्तन एक रूपे करे करे प्रभुर सेवन. For 10 continuous days, Advaita Ācārya held feasting and chanting in the evening. He served the Lord in this way without any change. For 10 days. One day was too much. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was singing 10 days. Okay, I think I will stop it here. 36 is where we stopped, right? Because now is a segue to another kind of another scene, another turn in the story. So I think I'll stop it here. So any questions or comments? Prithu Maharaj's characteristics starts from 4:16-13. There are a few verses. 4:16-13. नादण्ड्यं दण्डयत्येष सुतमात्मद्विषामपि दण्डयत्यात्मजमपि दण्ड्यं धर्मपथे स्थितः. Since the king will always remain on the path of piety, he will be neutral to both his son and the son of his enemy. If the son of his enemy is not punishable, he will not punish him. But if his own son is punishable, he will immediately punish him. Anyway, this is Prithu Maharaj. You can go and read. Difficult to emulate Prahlad Maharaj as explained 5:24-26. Persons like us who are still attached to material enjoyment, who are contaminated by the modes of material nature, and who lack the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot follow the supreme path of Prahlad Maharaj, the exalted devotee of the Lord. See, there is a problem. It is okay. So let's read the purport. It is said that okay, I should note this down as well. There is a problem with this. This verse is very much misinterpreted. So, purport. It is said that for spiritual realization, one must follow great personalities like Lord Shiva and Prahlad Maharaj. Sorry, Lord Brahma, Devarshi Narada, Lord Shiva, and Prahlad Maharaj. The path of bhakti is not at all difficult if we follow in the footsteps of previous acharyas and authorities. But those who are too materially contaminated by the modes of material nature cannot follow them. Although Bali Maharaj was actually following the path of his grandfather, because of his great humility, he thought that he was not. It is characteristic of advanced Vaishnavas following the principles of bhakti that they think themselves ordinary human beings. This is not an artificial exhibition of humility. A Vaishnava sincerely thinks this way and therefore never admits his exalted position. So you see here, although it is not one who is contaminated by the modes cannot follow the path shown by Prahlad Maharaj. In the purport, Prabhupada is saying something a little contradictory, but not contradictory. See, the path of bhakti is not at all difficult if we follow in the footsteps of previous acharyas and authorities. But those who are too materially contaminated by the modes of material nature cannot follow them. So, following in the footsteps means to follow the orders, not imitating them. Like I can't drink the cup of poison like Prahlad Maharaj, and so I'm also devotee. Krishna should protect me. I should not imitate what he did, but I should follow the path that he set for others. So this is important, and this is also explained in the 10th canto, 1033, right? Yeah. So Anusharan and Anukaran. Anukaran means to imitate. Anusharan means to follow. Anukaran, Anukaran. Yeah. So to follow in the footsteps. So sometimes in ISKCON also, and some devotees actually they preach like this. When we condemn some kind of materialistic idea, rascal or something, when we use these kind of words or openly criticize someone, they say, "Oh, Prabhupada could do that. He's Prabhupada. We are not Prabhupada, so we cannot imitate him by criticizing people like that. We should be, humble, and we should not do this kind of stuff. We should not imitate Prabhupada. We should not think that we have become on the same level of Prabhupada that we can imitate him by criticizing these people." This is a wrong interpretation. This is not Anukaran. They think it is Anukaran. In fact, it is a deceptive method of compromise, because actually they don't want to compromise with the non-devotees, and that means in his mind he thinks at least it is okay, because he has to reject it completely in his mind. Anything other than Krishna consciousness, he should reject it and expose it. But if he says no, it's okay, something like that, or if he doesn't criticize, or if he criticizes those who criticize, then he will fall down. Because that means it is kind of accepting the defective philosophy of somebody who is not following Krishna consciousness. So such defective pseudo religion should be exposed. Any cheating should be exposed. Otherwise, we ourselves become party to such cheating. If we are aware that some cheating is going on, it has to be immediately brought to notice of everyone. So cheating should not be condoned. And we, as especially our Krishna consciousness, every other philosopher who's not Krishna conscious is more or less defective in his ideology. He just is. So we have to analyze things from the Shastric point of view, not based on some kind of sentimental point of view or some misconceived point of view, misconstrued point of view. So it is not imitating, Prabhupada did that, we cannot do. We should do. We should repeat what Prabhupada said. If Prabhupada is saying something is nonsense, we should also say it is nonsense. Of course, Because he was a sannyasi and because he's elderly, and sometimes he can be more in a different tone, he can say, but the subject matter should not change. Yeah. When we are talking to elder people, we cannot probably be a little too harsh, but we can say, we just need to learn the art of how to say the truth, not the art of how to lie, not the art of how to please the other person by not telling him the truth. That's not the art we should learn. The method of administration may be different, but the thing that is substance administered should be the same. The straight philosophy should be administered. Whichever way it is administered, it should be administered. Not that, oh, straight philosophy, he may not like, so I'll put some other philosophy. Why? No. So, the vehicle in which it is administered, that can maybe, according to the situation, we have to see. But the thing should be administered is the same thing. Same thing. We cannot change the subject or dilute the subject. See? So that's a very important point to note. So this should be never taken in such a way that, we cannot follow Prahlad Maharaj's path. We cannot imitate him, definitely, but we should follow. Otherwise, why? Why then Krishna would send devotees like Prahlad to this world and show the example? Why? If we anyway cannot follow. That's not the point. In fact, today I was having a class with the Russian devotees. One of the devotees was asking, in the afternoon I was having a class with them on Zoom. So one of the devotees was asking, if a devotee is not in the Sattva Gun, and because of that, if he cannot wake up early in the morning for Mangalarti, but if he does everything else, he should still be allowed, right? That is still okay, right? He was saying. I said, see, the whole point of Krishna consciousness, because his point was, you can't change the guna, the quality of a person. So therefore, whatever quality they have, Krishna consciousness should be given to them, and we should not be pushing them to do something which is not their quality. If they're not in Sattva Gun, then we should not push them to wake up early in the morning. So that was his point. So I was saying, see, then why did Krishna say to Arjuna, Traigunya Vishaya Veda, Nistraigunyo Bhava Arjuna, rise above the three modes? If I cannot change my mode, then why did Krishna say rise above three modes? And then the whole point is for us to actually come out of the modes. Because if we worship Krishna, then we will also be, see, Harirhi Nirguna Sakshat. Of course, I did not show this verse actually, I should have probably shown. Harirhi Nirguna Sakshat Purushah Prakriteh Parah Sasarvadrig Upadrashta Tam Bhajan Nirguno Bhavet. Lord Hari, however, has no connection with the material modes. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the all-seeing eternal witness, who is transcendental to material nature. One who worships him becomes similarly free from the material modes. See, one who worships him becomes similarly free from, that means he will rise up. If we worship Krishna. If you think that the mode cannot be changed, that means we don't have faith in the strength of Krishna and Krishna's name. Because if we take to Krishna bhakti, then we will rise above the modes. And how to do this bhakti? So of course I showed this verse, 7:15:25. Rajastamascha satvena sattvam chopashamena cha etat sarvam gurau bhaktya purusho hyanjasa jayet. One must conquer the modes of passion and ignorance by developing the mode of goodness, and then one must become detached from the mode of goodness by promoting oneself to the platform of Shuddha Sattva. All this can be automatically done if one engages in the service of the spiritual master with faith and devotion. In this way, one can conquer the influence of the modes of nature. So, you see, you can and you must transcend the modes. And by how to do that? By following the Guru's orders everything will be taking place. All these things will happen. So, what are the Guru's order? For example, you know, um, 7:30. Guru शुश्रूषया भक्त्या सर्वलब्धार्पणेन च संगेन साधु भक्तानां ईश्वराराधनेन च श्रद्धया तत्कथायां च कीर्तनैर्गुणकर्मणां तत्पादाम्बुरुहध्यानात् तल्लिङ्गेक्षार्हणादिभिः. One must accept the bona fide spiritual master and render service unto him with great devotion and faith. Whatever one has in one's possession should be offered to the spiritual master, and in the association of saintly persons and devotees, one should worship the Lord, hear the glories of the Lord with faith, glorify the transcendental qualities and activities of the Lord, always meditate on the Lord's lotus feet, and worship the deity of the Lord strictly according to the injunctions of the Shastra and Guru. So this is the way how to come out of these modes. And if you see this hearing and chanting is also mentioned, right? In that. So that is explained here 1 to 17 to 21. You see, Shranvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridyantah Sthohya Bhadrani Vidhunoti Suhrit Satam. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. So you see, he cleanses the desire. And then what happens? Next verse 1 to 18. Nashta prayeshvabhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavatyuttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service under the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Tada rajastamo bhavaah kamalobhadayascha cheta eter anavidham sthitam sattve prasidati. See this? As soon as irrevocable loving service is established in the heart, the effects of nature's modes of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankering, disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness and he becomes completely happy. Then, evam prasanna manaso bhagavad bhakti yogataha bhagavad tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate. Thus established in the mode of unalloyed goodness, the man whose mind has been enlivened by contact with devotional service to the Lord gains positive scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. So, evam prasanna manaso bhagavad bhakti. So, when he is sthitam sattve prasidati, so he becomes happy. So this is the rising in the modes, rising above the modes. So this happens when we read Prabhupada's books and conduct ourselves according to his instructions. So this is how. So we have to rise. The whole point is to come out of these modes. How can we say that? Because his point was, oh Prabhu, you should not say that. We should not give the false hope to people that we can make all advancement in this one lifetime, because we are all stuck with our gunas and we will be stuck there, and then we should do whatever service we have and next life continue from there, and that like that it will take many lifetimes. So you should not say to people that it can happen in one lifetime. I was like, what? Prabhupada was, when he asked, he said 1 minute. His eyes became very big. 1 minute. Are you not reading our books? 1 minute. He repeated again. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo moksheshyami. Masucha. He said, immediately, as soon as you surrender, I immediately take away all your sinful reactions at that moment. But are we surrendering? How much do we surrender? So, yathamam prapadyante tam tathaiva bhajamyaham. So that much he will reward how much you surrender. But if you surrender 100%, 1 minute, immediately, that very moment, abhayam sarvada tasmai. What is that? Sakradeva prapanno yas tavasmiti chayachate sa abhayam sarvada tasmai. Dadamyetad vratam mama. Lord Ramachandra said this, that if once one surrenders to me 10%, that's it. From that day on, I will give him fearlessness. This is my vow, Ramachandra says, and his vow he will not fail. So you see, this is this is how we should understand. Now, we should Rakshishati iti Vishwasa. Where is our Vishwasa then? So one of the 6 aspects of surrender is that Rakshishati iti Vishwasa. Krishna will protect me. Protect me from what? From Maya. We have to take shelter of Krishna and have the protection that he, have the confidence that he will protect me. That is surrender. And modes are just Maya, features of Maya. So he will protect us. And we can climb above this. So of course, Anusharan, Anukaran is there. So this is a very dangerous mentality if I think that, oh, in this lifetime we cannot make it. Now, we may or may not make it. That depends on our seriousness. That doesn't mean it cannot be made. That is an offense to think like that. To consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination. And we say, oh, Ajamil chanted once and then he became completely purified of all the sins that he has committed in one chant. Oh, that's an exaggeration or imagination. That cannot be true. If we think like that, that's an offense. So if you don't have confidence, if you don't have complete faith in chanting the holy name and maintain material attachments, 10th offense. Material attachment, my attachment to sleeping, I want to sleep in the morning. And I find an excuse saying that, oh, we cannot do everything in one lifetime. Change the whole philosophy to suit my sleeping. Instead, let the philosophy be as it is and I wake up. I should change. Don't change the philosophy. So of course there is a verse that Bahujanma kare jadi Shravan Kirtan tabutana paya Krishna pade premadhan. If we chant with offenses, even many lifetimes, many millions of lifetimes, we cannot make advancement. So it depends. It depends on our offensive or the lack of offenses that we make advancement. We cannot say that the process is defective. No. I may be defective in taking up the process, and that's what causes the delay, not the process itself. Process is very potent. This is Krishna and his now Abhinnatvan Nama Namino. Krishna and his name are non-different. He can immediately save us. But do we want to be saved? That's the point. Do I want to be saved? If I don't want to be saved, then God helps those who help themselves. If I don't want to help myself, why God will come and So helping oneself means I must take shelter of Krishna. I must put my effort. Not that I'm a tamasic person, so I will not wake up in the morning. Okay, then tamasic person does not also chant. So you also stop chanting. He also does not eat prasadam. You also don't eat prasadam. Tamasic person eat wine, intoxicated. You do those things. Why only the waking up in the morning is a problem, but rest of the things are okay. I'm still devotee. What kind of nonsense is this? Simply making excuses. This is dangerous. Of course, I did not tell all this to him, but I showed, you see, that's not true. We have to climb above the modes. But you see, this is the whole point. This is the whole explanation. If I want to go on a rant on this, this is what I would say. But it was already almost 3 hours at the time, so I stopped that class. And they also stopped. They also know he was just asking. I don't know what he was asking. But anyway, this is the whole point. So we cannot accommodate the Shastra to suit our attachment. No. We should change in order to suit the Shastra. That should be the thing. Okay. So this thing that we cannot follow Prahlad Maharaj. No, Prabhupada, see how he says, how he explains it. We should follow. Otherwise, what is the? I actually wanted to show this when I was explaining. This came to my mind. I forgot now again. By Krishna's mercy, Prabhupada's mercy, by all of your mercy. Yeah. So you see, Swayam Samuttirya Sudustaram Dyuman Bhavaranavam Bhimam Adabhra Sauhridaha Bhavatpadambho Ruhanavamatrate Nidhaya Yataha Sadanugraho Bhavan. O Lord, who resemble the shining sun, you are always ready to fulfill the desire of your devotee, and therefore you are known as a desire tree, Vancha Kalpataru. When Acharyas completely take shelter under your lotus feet in order to cross the fierce ocean of nescience, they leave behind on earth the method by which they cross. And because you are very merciful to your other devotees, you accept this method to help them. So that means that pure devotees cross the ocean, leave behind the method for others, And Krishna accepts that method if we take up, so we can also cross. That means we can cross. So, otherwise, it's an insult to the Acharyas, it's an insult to Krishna that Krishna is sending the Acharyas to, teach us and reclaim us. But then we say, no, we cannot be reclaimed in this one lifetime. You are insulting Acharya. Acharya has come to reclaim you. You are saying you cannot reclaim me. I will stay the same pig that I am. You go back. Is that what we are saying? So we should change. Why why do we want to remain as a pig? I am a stool eating animal. No, let me remain a stool eating animal. Pig may say that. Why humans we cannot change? Human being dharmo hi tesham adhiko vishesha. And you see, Sudhyanti tasmai prabhavishnave namaha. If we take to the shelter of a pure devotee, we will become Sudhyanti. Otherwise, what is the meaning of pure devotee? We are insulting the whole system. Krishna's whole system we are insulting. Kirata honandra pulinda pulkasha abhira shumbha yavanaha kasadayah yenye cha papa yadapashrayashrayah Sudhyanti tasmai prabhavishnave namaha. Kiratas, Honas, Andhras, Pulindas, Pulkashas, Abhiras, Shumbhas, Yavanas, members of the Khasa races, and even others addicted to sinful acts can be purified by taking shelter of the devotees of the Lord. Can be purified by taking shelter of the devotees of the Lord. If I say that I cannot be purified, that means I'm insulting the pure devotee. Due to his being the supreme power, I beg to offer my respectful obeisances unto him. See, I want to protect my laziness, and if I say all these things, I'm insulting the Krishna and his mercy representative, who's the Acharya. Okay, so I think I'll stop there. What is this? Bhagavad Gita 335. Okay, you know what? It's getting very late here. I don't want to stretch this very longer. What is in the purport? Yeah, you see. One should therefore discharge his prescribed duties in full Krishna consciousness rather than those prescribed for others. Materially prescribed duties are duties enjoined according to one's psychophysical condition under the spell of the modes of material nature. Spiritual duties are as ordered by the spiritual master for the transcendental service of Krishna. But whether material or spiritual, one should stick to his prescribed duties even up to death rather than imitate others' prescribed duties. Okay, so this is a little bit different, but when the principle is there, it's a very long purport. You can go and read that yourself. Okay, so I think I'll stop it there. Jai Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai, Nityananda Prabhu ki jai, Advaita Ācārya ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Tai Gaur Premanande, Hare Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.